Hello, everybody. Welcome to Manifestation Theory, our podcast where we create a space to bring you the amazing ideas, amazing successful people into the show and share the insights that might be useful in your manifestation journey. So, today you're going to be so excited and loving this episode because we're going to speak more about men's growth, their mental health, physical health, emotional well being, and we're going to literally dive deeper in that. And we are so honored to welcome Prof Maurizio Rosini, founder of MyMasterMan community, a global platform dedicated to empowering men's mental, physical, and emotional well being. Through his work, he has coached hundreds of men, built three vibrant communities in Malaysia with over 500 members, and led over 30 workshops and events on men's growth. Prof. Mauri also serves as the head of marketing and communication at Alzette University, a French private university, with 17 years of fitness and nutrition expertise and over 2 decades of luxury fashion with brands like Fendi and Prada. He brings a rare blend of strength, sophistication, and leadership. Welcome, Prof. Mauri.
My God, thank you so much. What an introduction. I got goosebumps all over my back now. No,
I
jokes
love that
apart.
too.
Thank you very much. As I say right before to get on and the show, thank you very much for this opportunity. I do respect you and I respect the work you are doing. So I'm truly honored to be here. Really.
Wonderful.
Thank
So
you so
happy
much.
to have you. Actually.
Likewise. Thank you.
So happy to have you, Prof. Mauri. I mean, like I have been following you and Dr. Shashi earlier, and then I saw a lot of your work, but I didn't get to say hi to you. It's the universal alignment that Mangala able to meet you in a conference, and we are here for our first podcast, and it's going to be many more actually.
Yep.
So basically, when it comes to men's health, right, there is a lot of misconception actually there. So when, especially with men's emotions, even in my life, right, so there is a lot of things actually. So the men experience life internally differently, and how are they currently manifesting in their life actually? So I mean, like, because you have coached over 500 members in your career, so you would have seen the internal reality of a man, right? How do you think it's currently there in men's
Life.
life?
Well, I believe that according to my experience and even quite lucky because born in Italy, but then I've been living in the UK, Japan, United States, South America, Colombia, and now in Asia. I've been always experiencing one common thing between men. We all so afraid, almost terrorized to let people know what's going on in our heart. And when it comes to emotions, men are really emotional. The point is, men, they do not know how to have an healthy inner dialogue with emotions. The society itself allows men to express mainly one emotion, which is anger.
Yeah.
So it's quite common to see men frustrated, angry, and so every man is allowed and feels safe to share that emotion. But if you're walking on the street and you see a man crying, it catches your attention immediately because that's not normal. So there's this widely accepted misconception that men, they are not emotional. Men are emotional, are human beings. The point is, nobody taught them how to have emotional regulation, how to feel the emotions, how to understand where they come from, what they try to teach us or them or us. I'm a man as well.
Yes.
And consequently, we are facing a serious problem. If you see the data worldwide, men are the one most likely ending up in addictions, not only drugs, could be alcohol, sugar, porn, gambling, any form of addiction, going to jail. And we are used to talk about men only when man creates problem. Simply because we do not try to understand why men are creating problems. Everyone is expecting men to take care of everybody. But who is taking care of men? And I'm not trying to victimize the role of the man in the society. But once you are a leader as our ancestors gather. So consequently, they were going hunting and bringing back the food in the village. There must to be a place, a safe space where men they can feel safe even to open up. So back then, our ancestors, we forgot things, but actually our ancestors they were gathered. They were time gathering together, and when the masculine energy gathered together, it's very powerful. Especially when men they are able to hold the space one another without judgment, and they are open to honor and face what is really going on within, is extremely powerful. In a society that preaches now a lot of relationships, communication online, there is really this kind of disconnection, not only on adults, male, but even on youngster. Maybe later we should touch with the topic of the young male because it's quite a big one. So when it comes to adults, especially when men end up in a couple, of course, then they have a family, they need to provide, and now it's very demanding, even financially, to have a decent life. Consequently, they overwork themselves, and they start to abandon friendships. They used to play maybe soccer in the evening with friends. They leave it because they're so drained of energy, and the family requires attention. Consequently, I would say men in general, not only according only my experience working in Malaysia and abroad online, a lot of isolation. Men are experiencing a lot of isolation, and they are silently suffering on that because they don't want to show that. Consequently, they open a bottle of wine, maybe a pill, maybe find a younger girl outside the relationship, simply to numb the discomfort with a rush of dopamine, doesn't matter where it comes from, in order to still feel alive. And I want to say something. There is not bad man, good man, either bad woman or good woman. There are only human beings that they are trying their best to figure it out how to do it. But once we do miss the concept of community, where people that can have honest conversations and people are isolated, is there where the dramatic stuff happens. Because each one of us think, especially men, to be the lone wolf in the journey. And consequently, they behave accordingly. And so they always think they are by themselves, that they are carrying the weight of the world, they have no space to share. And then, some of the men, unfortunately, even they commit suicide. If you check on the data, under 40, it's crazy. Male under 40 in the States, the first cause of death is suicide. Same in the UK, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, all developed countries. Under 40 is no guns, is no war, is suicide.
Okay.
Malaysia, this is data from the government, which I believe quite conservative. In the past 5 years, they say 5,500 people kill themselves, 3,600 men. Between 16 to 24, the majority of them. So we're talking about very young guys. And again, simply because there is no outlet, So as adult, a man usually as an adult is going through already a journey. So is able to bottle down and suppress his emotions and fake it in some way. Then of course that manifests in sickness, manifests in depression, in boredom. But a young male, 14 years of age, still understanding his identity, and he goes through hardcore depression or difficulties, he has no tools to overcome. And so they proceed, and at times they kill themselves.
This is what happening actually.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, we are not really aware of these numbers. When you say, it's like, oh my God, we are not really aware of these numbers, but it's happening. It's just happening out there, but we are just doing our work. And at times people stereotyping things. One thing commonly I hear, I'm so sorry to say that, but in Asian culture, people tend to say that when a group of men come together, they're going to talk nonsense, politics, about girls. This is what they do. This kind of stereotypical comments are always been there, actually. But actually, in your experience, what does actually empower men? What is that empowering fact? Like you said, if they're going through stuffs, if they don't have a safe space to talk about, they're going to talk some random things probably. But What is actual conversation that is going to spark them actually?
More than a conversation itself is the environment. As you mentioned, just to give a bit of context to the audience, we have been co-creating 3 big communities, 2 in Kuala Lumpur and 1 in Penang. We're actually travel once a month. Next week, I will be in Penang, which I love. Penang, by the way, I live in KL. The community is amazing. We call it men's circle. So people ask me, what is a men's circle? We gather once a month, and literally we sit on a circle. And you know why? Because in a circle, you cannot hide. You expose yourself.
Yeah.
You are shoulder to shoulder with another man. In this case, there are even women's circles, but for the sake of today's interview, conversation, we are shoulder to shoulders. So we do acknowledge the community, but we still honor the individuality, which is life. Each one of us has a role, but we are in the community. But as I said before, due to this fast-paced society and many other socio-political reasons, we are disgregated, we are separated, So there we do the opposite. We create this modern tribe where men feel and are safe to speak out their own truth, to be authentic, to remove the mask. Each one of us, we are so good to fake it, to use different masks with a wife, with a boss, playing soccer, always playing a role. So what we do at the men's circle, we unlearn. We unlearn all the conditioning, the upbringing. We unlearn that it is okay, even as a man, to honor, to take ownership of what's going on. And there is nothing more masculine, more manly to take ownership of your emotions, to take ownership of your shadows, not only your strength. And then once you speak out in an environment like the men's circle, where nobody is there to judge you, and I want to say something, it is not therapy, it's nothing woo-woo, it's not politic, it's not religious. We have foreigners, we got a Malaysian from the Indians, Chinese and Malay, so it's absolutely inclusive. We got students up to CEOs, financially very powerful, but and I have so much respect for this man, they take the chance to step out of the comfort zone and have an open conversation. And you should experience how powerful it is when you give the opportunity to men to gather, feel safe and open up, and they look one in another, and there is no more skin color, there is no more separation, there is no more accent, or there is only men that they support one another without the need of fix, because nobody's broken. We are not there to fix anybody. Nobody's broken. But we are just there to listen. And for the sake of speak out your truth, a man which is not even used to becomes aware. Only and when you are aware of something that is holding you back, only then you can take action and change it. So the men's circle, it's an incredible experience that started as an experiment, became an experience. And I'm so thankful, really thankful, because I work a lot on this, that the message is coming through, especially with the youngster, they are joining. And then, of course, then became a community. We go hiking together, working out. We share tips on how improve nutrition, improve sleeping. Dr. Shashi and Roland, which say Shashi has been joining the circle, has been adding a lot of value as a doctor. Yeah. So it's an incredible journey, and I wish every man to give yourself the opportunity to join once, and then you tell me how is it.
Yeah. I think should be there. Right?
You can come.
Yes.
I'm looking at you.
Obviously. I love to, because I have been through men's circles before, like a long time ago. And what I mean, like as you said, because it was kind of like a reflection journey for me as we speak, right? Because whatever that you have spoken about the addictions, about the part of men are going after women and all those things. So basically, that happened to me in my inner world actually, basically, I mean, like if you talk about like suicidal thoughts and all, yes, of course, I cut myself.
Yeah.
So that was a deep wound I have within myself. So when you speak about that, it just that it happened to me very early, around 35 years old itself. So I'm an early adopter.
You felt so connected even to when I hear
Yes,
also, I felt like
I
it's
felt
a similar
so
story.
connected actually. And the reason being men are victimized in the society, they itself thinking that they are victim of the society, right? So this is coming from my own inner world, right? It is not something I'm reading or anything. This is coming from my own inner world, that as much as we speak about men are angry, men are having so much of guilt. So in my inner world, so the guilt which drives the anger, but the guilt can be a passive anger within yourself, but the guilt can drive your inner world very crazily. And there are like so many of emotions coming out, so many of stories coming out. And then like you said, like there is no good man, there is no good woman, there is no bad man, there is no bad woman. It's about experience and it's about experiments which we go through in our life. But we feel so much of protecting ourselves going through these mistakes in our life. So which is when it comes to guilt. Whenever we go and speak to a man will say like, you know what, hey, if you're feeling this way, if women reject you, go and find more women. And whenever we go to women, then they will say, oh no, you should be very loyal, you should be very honest. But then there is a part of it which drives this inner world between men. So, what is the other emotions which is driving this inner world other than anger and guilt? What are the other emotions which is very deeply rooted in us?
Oh, thanks for the question. I would like to add something on the point that you said, very interesting. Let's say a man chase a woman, get rejected, and he feels the rejection, the pain, and the only way that he numbs himself, instead of process the pain and the rejection, is to look for another woman. So we have to, and it's a very fascinating topic. Men and women are so different and so beautifully compatible, right? So men, for the sake of this conversation, we are genetically programmed to be very analytical. We are programmed to, and I talk about hundreds of thousands of stories of our ancestors, to fix problems, provide, and to find solutions. Consequently, we use a lot of our analytical mind. And we are totally disconnected from the emotional part. Women, on the other hand, they are absolutely another level in terms of processing emotions, live them, and process them. So the thing is, men, to reply to your question, men are struggling to embrace the pain. Men are struggling to face the pain because, again, we are analytical. So there is a problem. How can I solve it? And there is, unfortunately, there is no action to be taken when the discomfort comes into, triggers you. It's just a being. The point is, nobody taught us. What if, and that's part of the work we are doing in our men's work. Men's work are all those activities related to men's mental health, physical and spiritual and emotional well-being. Is to reframe the pain and suffering. Don't step away from it. Stay there, line on it, experiencing it. It's not because we are stoics or heroes, simply because once you reframe the pain as an opportunity to understand where the work has to be done. And when I talk the work, not the physical work, is the inner work, which is the one that really matters.
Yeah.
The pain is simply showing you where the direction is. If you get triggered by being rejected because you are at the bar, you see a good looking woman, you get close, she says, no, thank you. There is nothing bad on that. Probably you were rejected when you were a kid at school, you were bullied, or you were rejected by your parents. And that rejection triggers in you so much pain. Some men, they even take action when they get rejected by women. They become abusive physically, simply because they don't know any better. And it's triggering them so much pain. So
basically, what I would say that some men hurt others, some men hurt themselves.
Themselves.
So that's
yeah,
a part of the
yes,
that's a part of this suicidal parts which you have said the numbers, right? So those are the men who's hurting themselves. right? So that is a part of it. It's which make them to go into the mode of rejecting themselves, because to me it's my rejection towards my parents, where I got rejected when I was 4 years old, and that at that point I didn't never processed it until my 35 years old, and when I faced that rejection, that's when I feel like, okay, I mean, like something is coming out, and then and then I went to go and fix it. Let me go to psychologist and then let me fix it. But then it's not actually. I needed to go dive deep within myself to figure out within myself, because we don't give ourselves a time to pause and reflect. We never have the time actually.
Beautiful, beautiful, and beautifully said. It will be interesting if we are able during the conversation to give in some tools, because most it's like when you watch, there's so many good information online as well, but then people say, okay, I can see myself, I've been rejected as well, okay, I can feel the pain, but then what can I do when I get I say trigger into action? What I do when I feel rejected, and that anger comes up, and I feel red in my face, my jaws become strong, and I feel all tense. What I do, you know? So the very first step to freedom to get to know yourself is, as you said beautifully, pause a second and just try to understand where this anger is coming from. Oh, Mauri, these are woo-woo things. No, they are not. Do you want to still live all your life avoiding the pain, avoiding the suffering, keep numbing all emotions? And you're going to spend your entire life without getting to know yourself. Can you believe we spend 40, 50, 60, 80, 90 years of life, and we're going to die avoiding a massive part of ourselves simply to fit in a community, to be accepted, or to pretend to be somebody else. How can, for me, it's out of any consideration. And you cannot buy this. You cannot buy it. Nobody else can do it for you. We got to have the courage, as you said, to pause a second, feel the discomfort. Where is it? In my jaws, in my chest, in my belly, on my back, and ask what this anger is trying to teach me. And I guarantee you that once you start to have a dialogue with your emotions, even though it might seems to you woo-woo, but give yourself a try, the answer comes up. Most of the time, it's not the person that told you that word. It's not the situation. It is how we respond or react to the interaction with emotions.
Exactly.
And that is freedom. Because once you start to get to know yourself, next time you get in the same situation that you know is going to trigger the same pain and suffering, you proved already yourself that you're able to pause a second, detach from the emotion, stay there, and then it goes away. And then gives you self-confidence, power, and you say, wait a second, wow, now I'm able to interact with my emotions. So they're not as scaring as they used to be. And then this process starts.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Very beautifully said. That leads back to one important topic. Like, I literally want to dive deeper into it, because based on our experience coaching men and women, to be honest, the ratio women clients are more than men, to be very honest, right? And one thing I saw being a physiologist, how this emotion affecting on cellular level your system, right? So women mostly come to me, say things like they have been shamed in their life, feeling so guilty. So when they want to be intimate with their partner, most of the time they feel anger. They don't feel like going for a sexual connection. It's not there. Even when they try, things are like they both couldn't align actually, right? So I have seen cases like PCOS, vaginismus, dysmenorrhea, painful menstruation, all this, right? So it's more like a woman who suppress anger, having passive anger. Usually it's stored in the pelvic area. Now, the thing I saw, the one that who having this, it also project to their partners, where they have performance anxiety, erectile dysfunction. It is also there in men actually. So I see a dynamic
yeah.
of projection actually.
My God.
How do you see that? What's the emotional root? How can we, get it reversed or get better about that?
You mean,
The dynamic of men having performance anxiety, because I feel like these
of
days,
course.
yeah, these days the guilt driven or passive anger or shame all this actually storing in their gut and also pelvic area?
Okay, interesting question. So I now according to the game, even the youngster, I think porn is right now playing a massive role on this. So one of the most common ways that men, if they don't use drugs or alcohol to numb themselves, is porn, simply because it's free, it's immediate, it's easy to reach, and is a rush of dopamine, and really remove all the worries, at least for a few minutes. The thing happened when a young male, as a first approach with sex, sees porn. So a young male, again, have no idea. And you see women, they do everything, crazy stuff, he thinks that all the women are do those stuff. So, and this creates, because I've been discussing the men's circle as well, creates the performance, because, in the porn, guys are super, vigorous, and, they last 6 hours, and, that's the standard now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see consumption of even Viagra and stuff, even in young age, because that's the standard. So when it comes to men and women, absolutely, the sexual part is where we store a lot of emotions. So men, they do suppressing emotions, then they have problems of having erections or having, enjoying the with a wife or with a girlfriend, whatever. So
Have you heard this in the circle of men that you have been talking? Do they express this?
I have this circle. I have, yeah, man. Basically, as he spoke that about the man who's watching porn, right? I mean, like, because we get to expose to the world watching these kind of videos online, or in the movies, or in those days I used to watch in CDs and stuff, right? So these men, basically, when they grow up, they want to be the porn star. They want
course.
the women to be a porn star. Actually, it is not possible, because you never explore your own self. What is your deep inner power? Because every woman wants the man to be the right man with himself, with his authentic self. No woman wants a porn star in the bedroom, right? So this one men doesn't understand. It took me so much time to rewire myself, to whenever the thoughts come to me, I had to, because we training our mind to watch porn, to always visualize women that way, right?
Of course.
And you have to reverse it. That requires a lot of massive amount of energy, actually. So that's what I felt in my journey. So yeah, so you can
100%, man, 100%. And wow, I think now to be a young man, yeah, it's a bit of a journey right now, because there is an overwhelming amount of information that they are receiving.
Right.
And when it comes to distraction, yeah, people are struggling a lot through porn or other distraction to, to stay focused. At the end of it, there has to be a way that we can create a society where we give space to men, side, to women, and then to have them gathering together to do the work without the need of projecting one another, frustration, anger. And the only way to do that is to do the inner work. The point is, many people, they really have either no clue how to start, or they think it's a woo-woo situation, and they give for granted that life is living with a inflammation in the body, feeling pain, feeling constantly angry. We think that that is the norm, especially men. If you speak with many men, they neglect their physicality, they neglect their emotional well-being, because they are so caught up on fulfilling the archetype of the provider without giving themselves the time to spot themselves. I can tell you, because during this journey, I've been asking and sending questionnaires, and many men, when you tell them to take care of themselves, they say, "Well, that's selfish. How can I do that? How about my wife and my kids?" I say, "Man, you can still take care of them, but have some time for yourself. Take care of the way you eat, rest more. Do not overwork yourself like crazy." The point is, there is so much pressure on the man's shoulder that it takes time to open new perspective for men. You know, they can see alternatives of this life, because many men think that this is life. I'm born. I'm always angry. I will die angry. That's what they say.
Yeah, like you rightly pointed out, about the avoidance and about the distraction, right? So what many of us doesn't realize is that because of your avoidance, you're also avoiding money. You're also avoiding to be the leader, not only in your family, to be the leader in the outside world actually. So you are also avoiding because of your anger, you don't really connect with human being, with your own self, with the leadership. So because of that, many men struggle to become a leader or also to earn the right amount of money. They still struggle. So how do you think about this? The avoidance causes the leadership challenges with men.
Very beautiful and powerful question. Recently, it's the second time I created this event. It's called Mastering Manhood, and it's exactly I invited 20 men. I call them leaders, and we talk about struggles and opportunities of the modern man. Exactly what you said. It's interesting because if you go to a man and you say, "Hey, do you want to improve your performance? Do you want to become a high performer?" Yes. Do you want to talk about mental health? No, 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 no. I'm okay. Things is for girls. You cannot be a high achiever or high performance man, successful in the society as a recognized leader, grounded leader, not abusive, of course, making more money, if you do not take care of your mental health, if you do not take care of your body, you rest well, you eat properly, you have a good understanding. Because most of the time, very beautiful question, if you ask a man, who is your role model? Let's say they say, I don't know, Nelson Mandela or whoever, a politician or an entrepreneur. If you see the biography of those men, they are men that simply they understood how to deal with themselves. Consequently, they are so keen and fast on react in any situation because they know themselves. So they don't get like depressed or super sad. They fail, no problem. I start again. But if you are very sensitive, you don't know how to regulate your emotions, and you fail into a venture, into a business, then you feel, I'm not enough, I give up. So taking care of yourself, or better said, we should ask, what are the costs of not taking action? What are the costs of not start to understand how I process things? Because that will open doors and opportunities. A leader is a man that he doesn't need to talk much. He comes into a room and you can perceive his energy simply because he's very grounded and posed. He knows how to talk and when not to talk. He knows how to listen. He doesn't need to be loud.
And he's magnetic.
He's magnetic. But you achieve that point because you do massive work on yourself.
Yeah, to trust the process and trust yourself, right? It requires a lot of energy to trust yourself. So that's the important key essence of trust. Trust is what creates more coherence in this kind of space, as you spoke. When a leader enters, we trust that okay, the leader is there to take care of me, and it's also about a provider, plus also about a man who's giving you a space to be vulnerable, as well as even if you fail, the man is there to take care of yourself. Like even if you fail, it's okay. I'm there. Okay, we'll restart again. So that's a failures I have faced a lot in my life. It took me a massive amount of energy to understand this secret, as well as about the being happy in the now. That's really missing in this current generation actually, because we are all into performance but we don't take care of being happy in the now, and that creates more disconnect to go into the boring or performance, but then not into the mode of bending the reality and manifesting a new reality actually. Because you, in order for you to create that, isn't it that we need to create a new reality in our life? Like you just now you finish the statement about like creating the new reality. How do you think that people can create new reality? So what are the three key takeaway would you like to give to the people who wants to create as a man, who wants to create a change in their life?
Everything starts without any doubt by the physicality. A man been built by nature more muscular, more strong, and because there is a reason. So any single man, they might have the belly, they are overweight. You can tell yourself a story, you can find many lies, but deep down, we all know that you would love to have a decent body. And when I say decent body, you don't need to be a top model, 6% body fat and 6 abs. Simply living a body with low inflammation. What does it mean, inflammation? Is that pain when you wake up in the morning and the joints are painful, your back is painful, you say, come on, I've been sitting in the office for 8 hours, I shouldn't be. That is inflammation that comes from poor sleep, eating processed food, overeating sugar. And Malaysia, unfortunately, there is a crazy consumption of sugar in everything. That pain is inflammation. So there is having an healthy body starts with prioritize sleep, which some nice so undervalued. Prioritize sleep, have a good hydration, so drink plenty of water, not Coca-Cola and sugary drinks, simply water, and eat whole food. Malaysia has amazing vegetables, chicken, rice, avoid processed food, over oil, and you will be so surprised that once you start to have more vitality, that will trigger a way more, not even purpose, but it will trigger more the will of getting out of the comfort zone. If your vitality, if you're always low energy, you think that that is the norm, but I can promise you, I can guarantee you, it's not the norm. If you treat yourself well physically, you're gonna have more energy, and then you are able to face challenges, hardships, or difficult emotions in a different way. So I will start taking care of your body, and then awareness, self-awareness. You can simply do this for the next week. Just pay attention of the inner talk, the way you talk to yourself. Just pay attention. No judgment, no reframe, not trying to change. Just pay attention. The way you talk to yourself. And you will see how mean you are. The next following week, you still pay attention. And anytime that little voice, maybe it's not even yours, maybe it's your father, mother's voice, or somebody else's voice, but that little voice that comes to say, hey, you're not enough, you don't have enough, you're stupid, again, you make that mistake. Reframe that voice and start to talk nicely to yourself. I can guarantee you that if you are so hard on yourself, nothing's gonna change. You just keep beating yourself up, you push yourself down, and nothing's gonna change. Give yourself the opportunity, try to reframe the little voice, and then start to talk to you with compassion. There is not a chance that you can be a loving human being or loving man with your wife, your kids, if you're not able to love yourself. And yes, it's not easy. And yes, it's difficult to love our shadows. And yes, you're full of guilty, as me, as him, as us, and shame. We all do. But what if you start to love and accept that you are that shame, that guilt, and you are even your strength and the light, you accept that, you will be in a position to be more loving, consequently to receive more love. So the point is we don't give ourselves this opportunity. So to recap, physicality, it's so important. No excuses. You can if you don't have money to go to the gym, it's okay. You go on YouTube, 5 minutes workout at home, and it's free. You can go to the park. Malaysia is an amazing weather, no excuses. You can go walking 10,000 steps a day. Eating, you go to the little restaurant, you have some chicken, not fried, some veggies, some eggs, and a bit of rice, and there you go. So all the rest are excuses. Physicality, and then start to work with self-awareness. Those two is very good starting point.
Oh wow! So it's coming to a point of like don't do more, do less is more, less is more. I asked for 3, you give 2, that means it's a less is more. So it's really a very, very interesting thing to say. That only comes from a man who's so fulfilled to say that, you know what, it's okay, you can, this too is enough, right? So that only comes when you have that level of
properly, it's
self-awareness.
very enough. If you try to do those properly, it's absolutely a good starting point.
So how do they consistently do it? Because many men are even
The
as
common question.
common question.
My problem is consistency. How do they consistent about it? How do they can be consistent about it?
We just mentioned, right? Physicality, then start to understand the inner talk and self-acceptance. Self-acceptance triggers or generates self-love because I accept myself with my flaws because we are not here to be perfect. We are here to be authentic. But we are so afraid to be authentic because we are afraid of the judgment of others. And the neighbor is the same with us. So we're all faking it basically. But going back to the point, the target, the vision, the mission is to be authentic. Consequently, I start to take care of my body. I start to understand my inner talk. First, I observe. I understand how mean I am. Then I reframe. I start to talk to me nicely. And I start to say, okay, Mauri, you know what? You make a mistake. You're not going to be, a perfect guy. But, I know that at the end of it, you're doing your best. And you come from a space of love. I start to accept you. So I accept myself. Self-acceptance becomes self-love. Self-love becomes self-discipline. Because only when I love myself, and loving yourself doesn't mean to be narcissistic, it means to be caring with yourself. If my friend invite me to drinking 60 beers and the next day I want to go to the gym and I love myself, I say, brother, I love you. I know it's going to be good fun, but tomorrow I wake up at 6 and 6:30 going to be at the gym because I take care of myself. That becomes self-mastery and self-discipline. Consequently, you become consistent. You cannot become consistent on something that does not
Inspire you?
light up your heart.
Yeah.
Every man, I do one-on-one coaching and I coach every single man, even the most fucking rejecting, any kind of exercise. As soon as they lose 2 kg, they become beast. Say, wow, never in my life I've been experiencing less belly. And then they become super engaged, with the nutrition and the sleeping and the biohacking protocol. Something very important, accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability, especially when it comes to have consistency and discipline. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to do step by step, break the action. You want to lose 10 kg, beautiful. Take 1 year, that's fine. Just say, okay, I'm going to lose half a kg every 2 weeks. Work on that because you just need to lose the first 2 kg and then the doors are going to be open. So everything starts with the 2 steps that I said before. Self-acceptance. And then self-love, self-mastery, self-discipline comes by itself.
Beautifully said. And I have one important question. This is very curious, out of curiosity. The Mauri behind the MyMasterMan group, the journey that sparked you. Probably this could be the first one, should have been, but I feel like before we end it, I wanted to hear about you. What made you to create this beautiful space actually for men? Tell us about that.
Because all the things that I've been sharing with you, I've been going through all of them at the same time. So I'm not here to, guys and ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to, pretend to be a guru or something, simply because I went through all of the things I said, I went through. And I was lucky enough, as I said before starting the show, that for some reason, I've been always very curious. And when you ask things, mentor comes. So I've always been surrounded, because that's what I was looking for, of people better than me. Many mentors, I still have many mentors, women and men. And I've always been guided. And the curiosity that I mentioned brought me to create literally heavens and living crazy things and even experiencing the darkness of the darkest of the darkest of the time. And therefore, I'm 48 this year, so it's 20 plus year that I've been spending time to getting to know myself, spending even a lot of money into mentorship, workshops, healing sessions, and traveling the world. And my call now is simply to share whatever I can that I know that is working. I share. from a space of sharing, to say, brother, you're not alone. I hear you, I feel you. Look, that's what has been working. I share with you, then you see if it resonates with you. If it does, give yourself the opportunity. And I guess the gift is being authentic. And that's why the guys come, because to gather man is not actually, an easy thing to gather man. It's because they, especially men say, what is this thing? Is it for gays or for stuff? I say, no, man, you come and enjoy. And they're very skeptical, But then I'm really honest with what I say. I say, hey, give yourself the opportunity, put yourself out of your comfort zone, and then you tell me. And so I'm leveraging basically the gift that has been given to me. Yeah, humbly.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you,
whatever you're
guys.
doing. It's
Thank you.
beautiful.
So, I mean, like I used to, I actually wanted to do a fist bump with you.
Cute, me too.
Yeah.
Because when you're sharing that, what, it's all being curious, and I just become the curious version of me, and then that's how I learned this many things. I done all the
like a
light,
mirror.
dark, everything. So something like sometimes the universe brings you a mirror, right, to look at you and then reflect yourself.
100%.
And so I think that is the kind of like mirroring for me in this, even though we didn't spoke much, but this is the first time we are speaking. But then this is where the understanding comes into play when it comes to even manifestation or anything, which comes into a place of the circle. Inside the circle, the energy is circulating. It doesn't matter whether what language you use, what ethnicity you are from, where you are coming from, it doesn't matter. But it all matters is when you self-accept yourself and also accept the help around you. It's always surrounded by you. And mentors always exist in your reality. It is just that we need to look at it and embrace them, especially with our authenticity and self-acceptance. So that's what I really love about today's show, about like authenticity and self-acceptance. It's a very deep topic which is being ignored and which is being not it has been some places, it has also becoming like a um spiritual way to escape. I mean, that is also happening these days. So there is a spiritual escapism people tend to have, like they escape from their pain and then they call it as a spirituality. So what do you feel about that? Because this is one of the important thing which I started recently seeing, and it is becoming like a spiritual war. You know what, it's again like a religious war. Now it's becoming like a spiritual war. You know what, this practice is not right. And
when people start to this kind of a process, as human, we need to label it as enlightenment. We go and develop a lot of the head chakra, but then we get so elevated, which is beautiful, and it's a form of avoidance as well. Very interesting. This, we can have a podcast on this. Anyway, yes, it's another form of avoidance. Okay, so I assume that we all ask once in our life, why am I here? What's the purpose of life? Okay. What if the purpose of life is to get to know yourself and have the courage not to run away from the discomfort, because the discomfort is data. It's like a beautiful energy. A lady is knocking at your door. Hey, Mauri, I know that now you are feeling terrorized, but I'm here simply to show you where the work is done. What if all your most wildest dream in your life, they will only happen when you take the responsibility and the courage to go through what scares you the most? There is so much wisdom in recognize that the purpose of life and the biggest gift you can give to the humanity, you don't need to donate $billions of dollars. You don't need to be Donald Trump, even though I don't like him, a billionaire. If you get to know yourself and you heal your traumas and you become a more loving person, more kind and compassionate, trust me, that's the purpose of life. Money will flow to you more easily, amazing relationships, you will be more keen to take care about your body. That's the purpose. Because we think that once we get validation from something outside ourselves, then we are okay. But the things that you are dreaming of, they're already there. They just need to be discovered. And nobody else can do the work for you.
Exactly.
Nobody else. I cannot go to the gym for you and train as much as I can. It's not going to change nothing.
Yeah.
You can be a billionaire. You cannot buy it. You got to do the work. And only the people that do the work, you can see them. They are in big position. They are enjoying their life. They might not be financially crazy, but they live an amazing, fulfilling life, full of love. What you want to do? You want to still blame the government, the weather, the neighbor, or you want to take ownership?
Yeah.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
Try.
So one last question. I think the very beautiful one is said like when your shadows come and knock you back.
Yeah.
So that's a very deep place, right? So how people can identify that?
Well, I mean, each one of us know very well when the shadow come and knock at your door. Okay, one of the ways that to create space, okay, so that's the process. Let's speak a bit more technical now. I get triggered into action, assuming that I got traumas about rejection, abandonment. I'm out with friends. I see this beautiful girl. I get close to her. She talks and she talks in a way. She moves in a way. She smells it. Oh my God, this I can. She's beautiful, and we have a good interaction. And when I try to engage and maybe invite her to my place, whatever, she says maybe in a not a nice way. No, 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 no. Thank you. I'm not an easy girl. Whatever. And then I get rejected. When I get triggered into action, the rejection, instead of embracing and fully embody that emotion, just pause. Pause a second. One of the good way is to get a big, deep breath. You pause, you detach, and you start to feel, where am I experiencing this rejection right now? Most of the time is in the belly, jaws, behind the back, your fists become tense. So you pause, you breathe, and you locate the emotion. Only this process allows you to create a space from yourself and the emotion already start to be less intense. Then the second stage is to ask the emotion, what are you trying to teach me? So you were mentioned that you've been rejected by your family, right? So sorry, but just to stay in the topic, and I appreciate you sharing that. When you ask yourself, you say, wait a second, this is not because of the girl. It's because I'm still afraid that when I was a kid, I was abandoned, I was rejected. So the root cause is not that girl. The root cause is what happened when we were kids. So now we got the awareness. Now we can work on it because we know where that rejection comes from. Remember always, words are sounds. If somebody calls you stupid and you are confident you're not stupid, you don't react to it. But if that word was maybe your mommy, maybe your dad, maybe your teacher calling you stupid, for you that word, it comes like a knife in your heart.
Exactly.
So again, it's not the word, it's not the woman, it's not the fellow man, it's everything within. That's why at the beginning of the conversation, which is amazing with you guys, we talk about take ownership. Everything happening into your life, it's simply a series of action and data around you. What makes your life amazing or really, really hard is the way you react or interact with other human beings and action that happens to you. Once you realize that you are the center of everything, then you can take ownership without judging yourself. Say, okay, if I'm the one that creates my life. Wait a second. Let me work on myself. And then starts the beauty of falling in love with the process of know yourself, getting to know yourself. I find it so mind blowing. How can we avoid that? It's so beautiful, you know, because when I work on myself, everybody gonna benefit out of it. Everybody. It's not just your journey; it's about our journey.
Wow.
Wow, that's so beautifully said, actually. So
I'm
it
just going
it
speechless. Wow, that's so beautifully said.
yes,
Very beautifully said. Love that.
I love that too. And it's something coming to, I mean, like as you said, like it's also opening a topic of bigger topic to talk about avoidance and
Yeah.
spirituality. And
We
there is so much bigger
gotta share a
topics
lot.
has been open.
Yeah.
And we will be sharing more in upcoming our podcast as well. And we really, really honor and grateful to you to talk about ownership, self-acceptance, and also giving the opportunity of taking care of your physical and vitality is very important to bring self-awareness, because that's how I started my journey. And it's something like it's a reflection and mirror for me to sometimes we need to again learn that same lesson again in our
With the
life
soul tribe.
with the soul tribe.
Yeah.
And really, really happy. And thank you so much, Mauri, for coming to our podcast and
Thank you,
share your.
guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And please do share to our audience about the upcoming event and how they can reach you.
Well, we are quite active actually. Tomorrow morning, I have an event.
Okay.
But this is going to be actually men and women together. It's a kind of an experiment to bring men and women together in a safe space where we do workout, breath work, you know, for relaxing, and sound healing, sound bath. You lying down, and this amazing Sarah, she's going to play sounds, and it's very relaxing. Okay, once a month we have in Kuala Lumpur in KLCC. The next one is going to be Wednesday, 14th of May, 8 p.m. in KLCC. And next week is going to be in Penang, once the men's circle. But if you follow IG, my.master.man, there I put out all the events, and actually there are quite a lot. So yeah, I would say IG is the easiest one to
Best
follow.
place.
Yeah.
Okay. Please find him in IG, and I'm sure that you would love all the contents and you will feel so connected on a soul level, because this kind of space is very much required to bring more love, compassion, and connectedness in the world. Because what I see is there are many ways people show anger or separation. There are many reasons to do that. But why can't we find reason to find connectedness, the connection, the love? And I feel like this is a beautiful space. I feel so contented to have this conversation, to be sharing this conversation to all of you. I hope that you had a beautiful insights as well through this. Do you have anything to share on a final note?
And a final note, it is about MyMasterMan. And I think you need to end the MyMasterMan note. It is about MyMasterMan.
Oh yes. It is about MyMasterMan. And there is a safe space available. We just have to go ahead, tap into that safe space, and there it is, opening up to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, because I wanted to end that with a note with Mangala, because I want a safe space to carry a man and a woman can create a togetherness.
Yeah.
And in order for a MyMasterMan, you need your MyMasterWoman as well. And thank you. And also thank you, Mauri, for becoming a mentor. Also,
My pleasure. My pleasure.
sharing
Do
your
it from a
journey.
space of love.
Love
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank
Our
you, everybody.
pleasure.
And
Thank
take
you.
care of yourself.
Thank you, everybody.
Checking you.
Thank you, everybody.